And that doesn't count the ones that are seen as accidents that don't get
Nope,
connected to the drugs. That's just the ones
exactly.
that can pinpoint, and the numbers are even more huge than that.
Yep, that's a lot of people every day dying. And another thing I heard, if that was like swine flu, look at what the country did to fight swine flu. That didn't kill nearly as many people. You know,
Absolutely.
addiction is, people are dying right now, today, from this disease and running rampant, and yet nobody knows what to do. I helped create this definition of a rock bottom, and it's pretty easy to remember because it spells out help, HELPS. It's really easy.
HELPS.
Helps.
That the I get you define about six types of denial in there too.
Yeah.
What are those? What help some of the people of our audience out there that don't think they're in denial, or don't even have a clue that denial might be a part of their life. What Give us an example of those six types.
Well, I mean, it's like the mother that thinks that they're doing everything to help save their loved one's life, and they're not, and they're doing just the opposite. They're
Right.
feeding disease filet mignon. They're catering to the disease versus helping end the disease, and that's why all the billions of dollars that are out there right now spending to help fight the war on drugs. If you spend that type of money on educating the public that they have the power within them as the environment to create this helps rock bottom, then they will look at it, they will look at their loved one, and then they would look at the definition and say, I could pull from this, and I could raise that rock bottom. So it doesn't have to be getting the legal part involved where they have to go to jail. So it doesn't have to be where, they end up going in the emergency room and coding once again because their heart gives out because of the alcohol of the crystal meth abuse. So there's many different tools in that help. And the first one I loved when you brought it up earlier, where, for an addict, the help rock bottom, the help is the first one in helps. If, something happens to them physically, and that usually isn't enough alone. That could be added with the other one,
Right.
but that isn't enough. I mean, we see every day people going to the emergency room and dying and coming back out and saying, "Oh, thank you, doctor, for saving my life," and going right back to shooting up more heroin.
Yeah, I can make another run at it now. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. And so a health rock bottom isn't usually enough by itself, but it is still, for some people, it is a rock bottom. They
Right.
do say that is, I can't live this way anymore, or the doctor says your liver's going jaundice. If you don't start drinking, you will die. I have seen it work, but rarely, unless if you start bringing the other components of the rock bottom and raising it. And I always like to inform my families that I work with that, we're not doing this as a punishment. We're raising it in a loving, respectful way because their loved ones, addicts aren't bad people, they're sick people. They need this help.
Well, that was one of the things that I so appreciated with what I saw you do in your shows was the way that you handled that so that yeah, I'm sure there were those who didn't, but most of the people you were intervening with really got connected to the idea these folks loved them and that what was happening was from love, whether they wanted it or not.
Yep.
That's very, very powerful because love is a very powerful thing. So, you were talking about if the government or if we as people spent money educating and making people aware as to what they could do with the addictive part of this whole thing. Uh, do you think that the reason we don't do that is because too much of our economy now has grown up around keeping the drugs coming and keeping the war going? There's
Yeah, yeah. They're just so used to that. That's what they've been doing for so many years, and they get a little bit of headway, and and they believe that, that they're making a difference. But I love the way you put it. We're on the same page. If you stop the demand, you won't need if you stop the people that want it and demand it, then we won't need to keep it out of the country, because nobody's going to be paying these billions of dollars to bring it into the country.
Right. Listen, we've got about 4 minutes left here, and I know that you have a favorite story. Maybe you can share, like either your most pleasurable story, or maybe even the worst disaster that you saw happen, that we can kind of leave our audience with. And if not, that's fine. If there's something I haven't touched on that you would like to talk about, please do.
Well, I'd like to just go down what the rest of the help means in the definition of a rock bottom.
Please do.
If you listen to anybody that's in recovery, you'll see they have reached one or more of these rock bottoms. So the first one, as I said, was a health issue. It spells out, with the H, it spells out health.
Right.
It's an emotional rock bottom, which the environment helps create.
Absolutely.
That's one that's done out of love. When a family member says, I'm going to divorce you, or you're no longer welcome in this family dynamics, only one person is going to stay in contact with you, and that's usually an emotional. That's one when we do professional intervention. That's the one that really grabs them, the love from the emotional rock bottom.
Very powerful. Very powerful.
A mother, went into treatment or, seeked help because she was driving in a blackout with her 3 children in the car seat, and got home and said, how did I get home? Again, an emotional rock bottom. Her kids meant that much to her.
Right.
So emotional is huge. Then we have a legal rock bottom. If like I said, addicts and alcoholics aren't bad people, but they do some really bad things.
For sure.
So if they're breaking the law, we could get the law involved and maneuver that. So we want to raise it before they end up in prison. But kind of like we talked about the high life professionals, let's get them involved first, the legal system involved, so we could avoid the worst consequences, which are prison.
Absolutely.
So if we have to get them in drug court, we'll get them in drug court. That program saves millions of people's lives. And a legal rock bottom. Then we have personal finance rock bottom. Everybody has to keep their addiction alive financially. They have a roof over their head. They have to buy their alcohol or their drugs. Where does the finances come from? So we raise that one, the personal finances. And then the last one, which I think, is the most important one, and I'm sure you would agree with this, that anybody with long-term recovery has to hit this rock bottom, which is the spiritual rock bottom.
Absolutely, spiritual rock bottom. If that doesn't happen, yeah. That's a really great acronym. I will pass that along. I promise you that. Listen, we're totally out of time. I kind of had a hunch that might happen with you, and I'd love to spend a couple more hours on the air with you talking about this. I just go tonight knowing that there's a lot of respect and a lot of love coming from us in your direction, Ken. And thank you for spending the time with us and trying to bring this awareness to the public. You do a great job and a great work.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
Spreading the message.
Make it a good week now.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye. Well, that was a good show, huh, Tom? It was just I just really enjoyed the time with Ken. I hope that now, after hearing this conversation, that you can see how the spirituality and how the 12 steps really do fit in a spiritual but not religious show. So I've ran out. It's time to go. We'll be back next week. I got another great guest lined up. In the meantime, be sure and accentuate the positive and have a fantastic week.